Hello, dear ones. And I want to thank you for joining me on my channel. I often forget to say that, but I really am very grateful that you are interested in sharing this space with me and, just drinking it in the way you can and hopefully make it come alive in your life so more of us can really live from that place of stillness and presence and light and shine that out into this world, which is looks a little dark here and there. And as you probably know, the whole concept of longing, or the whole experience of feeling this deep longing deep inside of our soul, has been very alive in me actually for many, many years. I already started writing about it in my blog post many years ago. And, it's just kind of been with me. And I think we all have something, some special energy or some frequency, some unique way of being or sharing or doing things that it's beautiful when we really let ourselves lean into that or dissolve into that so that we become that. And then we are actually, without doing anything, we bring that to the world by being it more. And of course, I invite all of us to find what it is, that uniqueness, that your special flavor of the divine. And so we can start living that and each be very unique and yet feeling completely connected, because the uniqueness and the frequency that we do tune into inside, it's all coming from the same source. It's just a different ray of light, right? Or a different wave of energy, but it's all coming from source. So we are not divided in that, even though the matrix mind has been trying to tell us, I have to be like everybody else in order to fit in or be loved and be accepted and be part of. But and that, yeah, I would say that is how it used to be when we were completely identified with the matrix. But here, as we're disidentifying more and more with the matrix, we can start identifying more and more with who we truly are. And then there's that exploration of that energy and that flavor that we really are, and turning our attention towards that so that we can melt into that in a deeper way and start living that in a more relaxed, alive way, not by doing anything, but just by merging with it so that the being and the doing is the same thing. As long as we live in the matrix and are not fully connected in here, there is a doing happening in here separate from the being. And that's why we create so much suffering and trouble out there. So it's learning to just bring all that energy back into the oneness. And then the oneness, then the oneness will express itself as the being that we are and not separate from the doing. So we don't need to go out there and set a goal and, um, find our purpose. Nothing wrong by that, but with that by any way. I want to just make sure that is when we're still part of the matrix. And I think starting to find our purpose and a goal when it's connected with this energy in here, it's a very, very valid and worthy way of expressing our current energy. So, what that does is, we start finding it, but it's because we feel the pull inside. And that's, of course, what we are following until we fully realize that we are that pull. It's almost like, a vortex. It's just kind of pulling itself back into itself. And that is what I would say we often experience as a longing, and not out there, but just to come back into our own energy vortex and let ourselves be swallowed by it. And in that, as we're being swallowed, and then we start becoming more one with who we are. And then things just happen naturally. You don't need to plan it or think about it, although that's not separate from it either. I really want to make sure that I'm not trying to bypass anything here, that you misunderstand it. But there is a difference from when you are separate from your identity, your true identity. There is a lot of doing happening out there. And then at some point, there will also be a lot of doing happening as you're trying to come back to the oneness. You see, they're both necessary. You can't avoid this step here. But be careful not to prolong it too long, where you get identified with always having to fix something or heal something or learn something new. If it's not serving the purpose of slipping more and more out of the matrix, it's like the grip we have. If everything we do is not serving the ungripping, then we're basically still grasping in the matrix, trying to get something or experience something. And then the more of us who really start resting in here, and of course, this is the longing that I have been living with, just to be completely consumed by it. And I want to just share a beautiful little experience I had yesterday, which is actually once a month. There's a beautiful group of us meeting, and it's called Divine Dialogue, and it's a game. Actually, we call it a game with a game board, but it's a way where we can really sink in deeply and purely speaking from our direct experience into the field. Every time we do that, and yesterday was specifically beautiful, it's really like we are merging with the field, because we're not engaging in the matrix or the mind. It's solely focused on this. And then the expression of that is basically, it's stillness speaking into stillness, or it's the divine expressing itself into the divine or into the field. So it's a way of practicing something that I think eventually is going to be our default state, the more that we let go of the matrix. So in a way, we're practicing, it's a practice ground where it's totally safe and totally okay and welcomed to be the wisdom and the beauty and the love and the oneness of who we are. So when we individually just share whatever wants to be shared from this place, it's not something in the future, it's not something in the past, unless that future and past invokes something in the now moment, and then that speaks. And nobody's interrupting, nobody is trying to support or interpret or any kind of interruption. It's just a pure space where this can be expressed with words, with silence, with a poem, whatever it is, unique and an individual expression. And the beauty is that when we do that, the field gets more and more pregnant. It's not the right way of saying it, because the field is nothing but pregnant with infinite possibilities. But we become more and more attuned to the field when we are collectively in a group, tuning into the inner field, whatever it is that pulls us in, whatever it is that is being ignited. Because of the prompt, and that's kind of how we get to the prompt. That is part of that game board. But they're always very deep prompts that always invoke something in us. It touches something in us because the words of the prompt point inward. So we sit with the prompt, we feel it, feel how it impacts us. And then from there, things are spoken or not. So the space is given to fully connect with our divine self. And there's a space where everybody supports that and welcomes that, engages in that, and we all feel like it's really growing. So when I say it's a practice ground, it's the practicing being the field, it gets thicker and thicker almost in its tangibility. I mean, we can just feel it. And as the more we feel it, the more we merge with it and the deeper we go with it. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, maybe, where we finally are coming home to ourselves, but we do it in a group setting. It is probably one of the most nourishing or nurturing things for me to engage with other people, because the space is set up so that the space itself is the focus. The field itself, or the divine presence itself, that is basically the focus. And when a group of 8, 10, 12, 18 people just focus on that and let it speak through us, we start experiencing what it is that we long for in the world. The deep connection, the transparency, the authenticity, the love, the merging of oneness, realizing how we are just exactly the same, just with a different flavor. It's very, very beautiful. And I'm sharing that today because it was last night and it's just so fulfilling. I really feel there's a part of my longing that is being fulfilled because what I focus on here all the time or rest in here is suddenly shared with a group of people, which makes it very, very delicious. So I have been speaking maybe, well, I always speak about it, but I want to emphasize more right now and maybe the next few days how precious it is that we can start spending more time in and with and as our true divinity, our unique expression that can only be experienced from within. And I would say, let the longing that you feel, whether it's for the divine, for love, like I talked about, I think yesterday, the longing itself, the felt sense of the longing itself, that is where we can start hanging out and speak from if we want to speak, or move from if we want to move, right? We make ourselves available for the expression in whatever way of the divine presence that we are and that we have turned away from. I was just thinking, if I have my monthly gathering, which was yesterday, but I'm just wondering, and you guys, I'm just asking for your feedback. Would there be an interest in having another gathering, another day, another time, of the month, where we can do more exploration of this, where we start practicing speaking from deep within, from the stillness, from the silence, not the story. The story needs to complete itself, absolutely. The story needs to be seen, probably acknowledged, but not be lost in. So if we can start maybe finding a balance more and spending more time in and as the divine that we are, our soul connection inside, and start sharing that with each other, to me, that is a way to normalize what for most people is actually uncomfortable. Yeah, I think that's why I also feel so comfortable, I mean, doing my YouTube, because in a way it's just me. Nobody's gonna interrupt me or anything. And then in the group where everybody is on board, because we all want this, we're clear that this is what we want. So it feels very safe to be that which the world may not be ready for yet. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't start practicing it. And what I also felt yesterday was so sweet. It feels like we are kind of some kind of an underground movement of presence or of stillness. And just sharing that, just privately in somebody's private home. And nobody knows about it. We're not advertising anything. We're not going out doing something with it. We're just becoming it deeper and deeper and sensing it in a much more profound way when we're all doing it together. So I was thinking maybe we can start some more underground movements where we're basically just moving into the presence and allowing the presence to move us. And then that way we do have an impact on the field simply because we're opening up to it. Of course, the field is already complete, again, saying that we impact it. We are letting ourselves be impacted by the field so that we can express and become that more. If this resonates with you, feel free to reach out if you need help with that. Most people are not totally familiar with just really being the divine presence that we are. Many don't even really know what it is because most of life is lived up here, even with many beautiful spiritual quotes or biblical quotes, or it's very beautiful. There's certainly no criticism. But if you want to start taking it into the depth of your being and start maybe merging with it from a felt sense and surrendering to it from a much deeper place, please reach out to me because this is what I love to do with my private clients and in my groups with my friends. It just seems that that's what I came here for. And maybe that's why I love it so much. So feel free to reach out. I'll put the link in the comments, and please comment if you want to share something about how this works for you or maybe doesn't work. And then I look forward to connecting with you soon. All right, my friends, enjoy this beautiful day.